doctor, why do you suggest that people should eat a whole foods plant-based diet?
Great question. So I'm going to spin that around and talk a little bit about gut health because I'm a gastroenterologist and obviously I care about gut health. As it turns out that a lot of the randomized controlled trials and a lot of the studies that focus about colon health show that a whole food plant-based diet, a plant predominant diet, prevents the formation of colon polyps or colonic polyps that can grow to become cancer. So colon cancer is the second biggest cancer killer in the United States in both men and women. Colon cancer originates from these abnormal growths or colon polyps. When they are left inside the colon for many years, could be 5 or 10 years, they end up becoming cancer sometimes. As it turns out, a high fiber diet or a whole food plant-based diet could be preventative and prevent the formation of these polyps. Now, we have many screening tests to look for polyps. We have, in particular, this modality called the colonoscopy, by which we could insert the colon and cut out these polyps that could become cancer, so we can prevent cancer.
Right.
However, it's even more of an intelligent thing to do to prevent the polyps from forming. So you don't have to have colonoscopies to take out these polyps. A high fiber diet is preventative and somehow can perhaps repair the DNA damage that is occurring at a cellular level and prevent the polyp formation. Furthermore, if you think about the upper GI tract, let's talk about gastroesophageal reflux disease. It's not cancer, however, it affects a lot of people. And so many people suffer from GERD or heartburn, reflux, all those conditions. In fact, GERD can cause damage to the esophagus, form something called the Barrett's esophagus, which could become cancer. It turns out that a low-fat diet or a whole foods plant-based diet can be helpful in decreasing the frequency of gastroesophageal reflux disease. So there are certain things that can cause reflux, for example, alcohol, fatty diets, or the intake of excessive amounts of coffee and things like that. But I always tell my patients, if you could eat a whole food plant-based diet and cut out all of that saturated fats and excessive amounts of oil, high fiber, you could actually perhaps decrease the need for taking all those medications that are prescribed for reflux. And sure enough, it's very helpful. Let's go further and talk about other conditions in the GI tract. It turns out that the GI tract is basically populated by 100 trillion gut microbiome, right? So from mouth to anus, our body harbors different types of microbiome.
Right.
And so these microbiome live in a symbiotic relationship with our body. So the health of the microbiome is very important in producing health. So when you eat a high fiber diet, low in saturated fats, add high in fiber, what happens is the gut microbiome metabolize this fiber and produce something called short-chain fatty acids. The health of the gut depends on these short-chain fatty acids. And the gut is not the only organ that benefits from the short-chain fatty acids because they can actually traverse the gut and insert the blood system and circulate throughout the body, from brain to the heart, to the kidneys, to the liver. And so the importance of this is that the gut microbiome in the colon are actually taking this fiber and fermenting this fiber into short-chain fatty acids. And your brain health, your gut, your muscles, your heart, your kidneys, everybody can benefit from the short-chain fatty acids. So your gut health is important in health in other parts of your body.
Yeah.
And
So basically, if people are having high amounts of meat in their diet, then they're not getting this short chain fatty acids.
yeah,
So their gut health is not optimum if they're having high amounts of meat.
yes, in particular. So like, let's just say you're on a 2,000 calorie diet a day. If you're consuming so much meat that is encompassing about, 1,800 calories of your diet and you're not eating enough fiber, you're not going to benefit from the production of these short chain fatty acids. So to your point, most Americans in this country are consuming only about 10 grams of fiber per day, which is very low. Some even get less than that. So it creates a huge problem because there is not enough fiber in the diet to produce these short chain fatty acids that we're talking about.
Right.
Furthermore, the constipation medications that are sold in pharmacies around the country, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Why do you think? People don't eat enough fiber. Now, for granted, some people do eat a lot of fiber and they still have chronic constipation, and that's okay because that can happen. There are genetic factors, there's hormonal factors, there are other factors that play into it. It's not black and white. However, for the most part, constipation in this country mostly is due to lack of fiber intake, adequate fiber intake, in particular in kids. So I don't want to get gross you out here, but one of the biggest problems that I see in the hospital when I'm on call, I constantly get adults because I do adult medicine. I don't see children. The problem exists as children as well. But let's talk about the adult population. 18 and older. I frequently see people in the hospital who come in with what's called obstipation. That means that they're so constipated that they cannot have a bowel movement. So that stool has sat in the colon for days, like 2 to 3 weeks, and they cannot evacuate it because it's so big, bulky, hard, and dry that the human body is unable to push it out.
Why would anyone be so constipated to begin with?
Most of the time, it's diet. If you think about, so if I get like 100 patients like that, about 99 of them are not eating well. So about 99 of them are pretty much eating the Western diet, which is devoid of fiber or low in fiber.
Yeah.
And so they're getting that whole less than 10 grams of fiber per day.
Yeah.
And they become super constipated and to a point of obstipation where it's absolutely obstructing the colon. And in that case, if they're lucky, we can do something about it and evacuate it.
Yeah.
And in some cases, they have to go into the operating room and have their colon cut out.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And it's weird that that's considered these ailments, like, having cancer, getting strokes, having constipation, having all this stuff is considered normal in terms of getting sick, like just a normal part of being a human. But it's like, that's not the case. Like if everybody were to be on a healthy, whole foods, plant-based diet, it's not the norm to be unwell.
Yes. Yeah.
And so many people don't realize that.
You're absolutely right. I think prevention is key.
Yeah.
So a lot of people see it as, oh, that's normal. I'll just wait till I'm obstructed and I'll go to the hospital. And they don't view nutrition and diet as a prevention factor. And so we should change the mindset and look at diet and nutrition in a preventative way and prevent as many things as possible. Now, even if you do everything right, you're still going to age. You're still going to get older. You'll still have diseases and problems.
Yeah.
But there is a way to halt the progression of disease. There's a way to prevent disease. And there's so many things you can do to prevent having to go to the hospital and have all these extreme things done to you.
Absolutely.
It's possible.
But, it's like when people get cancer, the doctors will recommend that they go on a plant-based vegan diet. I see this more often than not. People in my family who have gotten cancer are recommended to stop eating meat, stop eating animal products. And it's funny how when things go bad, when shit hits the fan with our health, then we realize, well, we need to not eat animal products.
Yes.
And then our body starts repairing itself. Yet, most people hold the belief that we need to be eating animal products to be healthy. But if we were meant to be eating animal products to be healthy, why are we cutting it out to get better?
Exactly.
And I find that like shocking. And for you as a doctor, you would see this all the time, you know, people who have diseases and stuff, and it's, you know, direct correlation to their health.
Yeah, I mean, we're stuck in a society where it's indoctrinated in our culture to eat a lot of meat and a lot of dairy for calcium. Part of it has to do with lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
And part of it has to do with industry advertisements. I mean, growing up, do you remember how they had the milk mustache, milk does a body good?
Yeah. And everyone believed, exactly, that got milk. These milk advertisements were everywhere. And growing up, even in school, our parents, everyone told us that having milk equals calcium.
Right.
And I didn't know until I was an adult and I did my own research that calcium is in other things.
Right.
Broccoli, sesame seeds, and better absorbed by the body. I had no idea.
Yes, I know. And it's funny because if you took a mic and a microphone and went on the streets and selected 100 random people and said, what has calcium? Everybody's answer is going to be milk. And most people, unless you happen to find a doctor or a dietitian, most people won't even talk about greens as a source of calcium. Am I right?
Yeah. Why is it that even dietitians, okay, and I'm talking very generally here, but dietitians that I have spoken to myself, if I've sought advice or whatever, who I know are not vegan already themselves or plant-based, if I were to ask them, you know, where can I get I need to increase my calcium, what should I have? Most of the time they'll say, have dairy products. And if I say I'm vegan to a doctor, they'll be like, they'll be concerned for my health. Mm-hmm. Why is it that amongst the medical community, there's like so much different viewpoints? Because my concern with that is like someone else's doctor will tell them that, you know, you have to eat meat, you have to have dairy, you know, in order to be healthy. But then someone else's doctor will say, no, you should be plant-based to have a healthy lifestyle, or it's fine to have a plant-based lifestyle. Why is that the case?
So let me go back. So it's a very good question. And I'm really glad you asked this because most people don't ask this. Well, I happen to have a lot of dietitians who are my friends, right? And we've talked about that. The dairy industry has infiltrated the dietetics world. And they actually pass out flyers about the importance of eating dairy to get calcium. And it is wrong. Why? Because the schools have to be non-biased. So a dietitian coming out of school, like the first thing that comes out of their mouth should not be eat dairy for calcium. Mm-hmm. They should say, look, we have a problem of prediabetes and diabetes and childhood obesity and constipation in this country. Although calcium is found in dairy, it has also been shown that calcium exists in plant foods that could also help you with these other things, like diabetes, obesity, in the case of, for example, constipation. So unfortunately, just like the general population is concerned, I think the dietetics world has also just kind of presented dairy as the source of calcium. So even dietitians getting out of school are commonly saying, eat dairy. Mm-hmm. Where if you think about it, it makes no sense because we're not treating the person as a calcium deficiency case. We're treating a person as in a holistic way where they have a heart, they have a GI tract, they have a pancreas, they have kidneys and liver, and they're a whole person. So you're not saying, how can I treat this calcium deficiency? Or how do I prevent calcium deficiency? The question should be, what should I eat to make sure I'm getting enough calcium? Yeah, but that thing should be good for all my other organs.
Yeah.
And if you look at it that way, dairy would not be the answer.
Yeah, because that's a really good point. Because it's like, yes, okay, milk physically has calcium in it. Mm-hmm. But then milk is also very detrimental to your body in many ways. Whereas if you have the plant source of calcium, let's say broccoli, there's nothing detrimental to your body in that broccoli. It's something beneficial to your body, plus it has many other nutrients. But I've heard that the animal protein, and because of the high acidity of milk, when you have it, is it true that it leaches calcium from your bones?
I think that has not been proven.
Right.
There is thoughts of that, but it has never been actually proven. So
Right.
I'm not sure it does that. And the acid-base balance in the body is very tightly regulated. Where if something acidic or alkaline goes into your body, your kidneys kick in and immediately prevent your blood from becoming too acidic or too alkaline.
Right.
And so, when people have an overwhelming infection, for example, so we get these patients in what we call septic shock, and they're super acidic, and they're not walking around. They're in the ICU on supportive care, getting bicarbonate injections and things like that. So I'm not sure that there's any direct scientific link with that. Yes.
Milk is a really interesting one because it's like, the conversations that I have with people around dairy, I find really amazing how indoctrinated dairy is in the world. Like in India, when I have so many conversations with people, they're like, we've got to have dairy. I'm like, but you wouldn't have your mother's milk now. So why are we having milk from another mother and taking the baby away and taking its milk? Like that's the natural, on a very basic level, that's the natural purpose of why a mother produces milk. And I think a lot of people don't realize that we impregnate the cows. Yeah. And, and people are actually shocked when I tell them that humans are the ones who artificially impregnate cows to make them pregnant.
I didn't know before I became vegan.
Really?
No, I didn't know. I was like, I thought dairy cows constantly produce dairy.
Wow. And I you know what? I think that just so many people hold that view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks to the vegan world, I've been so educated about how the farming industry operates and how the dairy industry in particular operates. Literally, before I was a vegan, for some reason, I thought cows just produce milk all the time. It's really weird how, it's just like, I didn't know they have something called rape racks, and they raped the cows to impregnate them, and they take the babies away and shoot them in the back. Like, who would have thought that humans can be that cruel?
Globally, they killed 21 million baby cows in the industry. And, when I started scratching the surface in India, I was really shocked because India kills 7 million baby cows a year. And this is a country that loves cows. But there's so much misinformation around, how milk is produced that people don't realize. And these industries are very good at staying hidden in terms of what they do. So one thing I really want to address on a really base level, Angie, is that there's a lot of misinformation around optimum diets for humans. A lot of people believe that we need to eat meat and we need to eat dairy. Is being on a plant-based diet, does it provide an everyday human like you or me all the nutrients that we need in order to be healthy and vibrant and full of energy?
Yeah, so a well-designed whole food plant-based diet is much healthier than a traditional meat dairy diet, 100%, because fiber is absolutely essential for our health, for our gut health, and for the health of our brain and cardiovascular system.
And fiber is not in meat or animal.
Precisely. This is another thing some people don't know. Fiber is found in plants. Meat and dairy are devoid of fiber.
Right.
So a high fiber diet is essential. Now, if you get into the molecular level of things, someone may say, well, I need protein. Well, that's great. Yes, I agree. You have to have protein. You have to have enough protein for a healthy body. However, what I want people to understand is protein is found in plants. And a well-designed whole food plant-based diet has plenty of protein. And if you eat a well-designed diet, you're not going to be protein deficient. We have athletes nowadays who sustain energy and they actually up their game.
Yeah. And I think we all saw Game Changers, and we learned that, of course, the recovery is enhanced by being on a plant-based diet.
Yes.
But I just on that though, when you're saying that you get protein from plants, I hear a rebuttal a lot of the time from people saying that, yeah, but plants don't have all the amino acids, so we have to have meat to get the right type of protein. So what is all that about?
So that was an archaic thinking. I don't want to be mean, but that's incorrect thinking and archaic. It's been disproven. No, it has. I mean, I know now that a plant-based diet contains all of the essential amino acids that the body needs to sustain a healthy muscle mass and brain health, and every amino acid that you would want to make muscle, for example, can come from a well-designed whole food plant-based diet. And we used to think that only soy has all of the essential amino acids. And like literally about 15 years ago when I was in nutrition class, soy is the only food that has all the essential amino acids. We know now that that's not even true. Most plants have many of the essential amino acids that you would need to sustain a healthy diet. Right. So, and in particular, if you think about like I said, a well-designed whole food plant-based diet, you're getting a variety of foods, right? So what you're getting is all the amino acids, all the essential amino acids, but you're also getting all the different fibers, right? So for fibers, good so if you eat a piece of meat, you're getting amino acids, great. But if you're getting your amino acids from plants, you're also getting a variety of fiber-rich foods, right? And that's important. There's different types of fiber. So you're combining, you're getting both benefits in one.
Yeah.
And of course, the antioxidants that wheat and dairy don't have, the macronutrients, like all the vitamins that you're getting from the plant foods that it can be absent in meat. For example, vitamin C. You're not going to get vitamin C from eating a bunch of meat. So in my opinion, if you think about everything, and look at all of the evidence, it's obvious. Research shows that a well-designed whole food plant-based diet contains more macronutrients and micronutrients that your body needs than a meat-based diet.
So basically, Angie, I mean, as you've stipulated, we do not need to have animal products to be healthy.
Precisely.
So in people choosing to have animal products, I mean, we're unnecessarily inflicting pain and suffering on animals.
Yeah.
And the thing with that is, like, people will straight away say that, yeah, we're at the top of the food chain. This is how nature works. It's like lions do it, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I find it mind-boggling because it's like, we know we don't need it. We know it. The science is there. We have real life examples. We don't need it. We have the ability for moral and rational thought that we can choose not to have it. We're not in survivor situations, most of us. We can choose not to have animal products. So most people are choosing to hurt animals out of what? Convenience.
Exactly. It's like, use your brain.
Yeah.
You're an intelligent human being. What goes on your plate has to be a well-rounded thought, isn't it? It's not just health. It's not just being ethical. It's just not just being an environmentalist. There's several factors that determine what you eat. So as an intelligent human being, I would say that everyone has to weigh out all of the options and decide, okay, what is the least harmful food that I can eat? Is this food hurting sentient beings? And do I feel okay paying into that industry? What about the environment? What about my health? So it's not just one thing. There's several factors that go into it. And I hope that an intelligent person is thinking about all these factors before they make their choice.
It's almost like intelligent people become really dumb the moment the word vegan or plant-based comes up. And you see it with people like Joe Rogan, Sam Harris, Neil deGrasse Tyson, these amazingly intelligent people. The moment the topic of plant-based comes up, it's like the tonality completely changes. And I find it fascinating because intelligent people will love their dogs and will have such beautiful relationships with them, but they won't connect the dots that a pig has the same capacity for love and suffering and joy that your dog does.
Yeah.
So why have you relegated moral, some kind of moral care for like one animal at a complete disregard and torture another animal when you can simply choose not to hurt any animals? It's a really crazy mindset. And I get a lot of people message me saying then that, yeah, but in being plant-based, you kill a lot of insects to, grow the crops. To grow tofu, you kill so many rodents and insects and whatever else. I find that crazy that's even a factor.
There is inadvertent killing of animals, right? So when you walk on the ground, you may step on an ant, but that's not the point. A vegan can inadvertently inflict pain on animals, but it's not that doesn't matter. It's not purposefully done. And when you are an intelligent human being, you think, wow, this industry is torturing animals. It's not just putting them in these healthy, beautiful farms and, giving them anesthesia and killing them. We're talking about moms in tiny cages where they can't even stand up. We're talking about these little babies being born in tiny cages where they can barely grab the breast to get breast milk. We're talking about baby cows being shot. We're talking about cows crying because their babies are taken away. I feel like the industry makes us think that there's these humane ways to kill these animals. They're walking around and, it's sunshine and grass and things like that. It's just, I feel like it's behind doors that people don't see. And I even thought that these animals are bred for eating. That's what their purpose is. And they're treated humanely. Like, I had no idea that, they're very, very intelligent. This all clicks when I had a dog, by the way. Once I had my dog about 15 or 18 years ago, I realized this dog is so intelligent and wants to live. And I started making just kind of the connection, thinking, wow, I love this dog. I'll do anything but this dog. I'll spend $15,000 on this dog. But then I'm paying into the meat industry. And then, of course, once I started looking into it, I realized how cruel the industry is, right?
Yeah.
And I realized that those happy thoughts that they insert in our brains about how these animals are treated are just not true, right?
Absolutely.
And these people were saying, well, when you raise soy, animals are killed too. Sure. But first of all, most of the soy in this country and in Brazil is fed to the animals.
Like something like 85% of or 75% of the world's soy is given to animals.
Right.
And it's like, when you look at that magnitude, it's like the amount of the world's water, land, soy, other crops are given to feed these animals that we've bred into it. So the animals are not just there. We've physically bred them, and we breed like 18 billion of them per year.
Yes.
And we kill that many. So all these resources are going into like just to produce that one animal. Tiny piece of that only gives us a small amount of our daily calories.
Yes.
And I don't think people understand that basic like logic, that it's like all these resources go to give you this much meat.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if we just ate the plants directly, we are consuming far fewer resources ultimately. And if we know we can live on a plant-based diet and we can be using less resources, then it's a very common sense decision for people to make. If they care about animals, if they care about the environment, or even if they don't care about those things, if they care about their own health, yes, then clearly it's a very logical choice for people to make.
And I also think that even some famous people are so highly reputable in their industry and famous, unfortunately, they are afraid of losing followers. They are afraid to speak out. Right. Oprah Winfrey spoke out, and the meat industry went after her. Some are legally afraid to go after the meat and dairy industry. Some are afraid of losing their contracts.
Yeah.
For example, Joe Rogan, conflict of interest right there. He gets paid by the meat industry. There's connections there.
Did Joe Rogan get paid by the meat industry?
I have looked at some sources that indicate so.
because that's something I find really weird with his stuff. Like he makes nonsensical comments,
Yes.
about tofu and that it's better to eat a cow because you use all these resources for tofu, and his comments don't really make sense. They're half comments. Like he's skewing information in such a way that it sounds like it's factual, but it's not.
I don't know if he's doing that knowingly or unknowingly. Because, I mean, he's not a doctor. He's not a dietitian.
Yeah.
He's just a guy.
He's a smart guy, though.
He's intelligent, but I'm not sure he's doing his research thoroughly.
Yeah.
I think he knows better. I just think that he wants to go after the masses, and he wants to interest the masses.
Right.
He would make a lot of enemies if he actually was honest. And or he could also lose people because people don't want to be inconvenienced to change their diet.
Of course.
Yeah. Let's go back to the soy issue, right?
Yeah.
Soy. A lot of people avoid soy because of this rumor that soy has estrogen.
Gives you boobs. Gives men boobs.
First of all, that was true. Sign me up. No.
Actually, yeah. Gives you soy.
I'll take like gallons of it now. It doesn't work. Okay. Soy is not a mammal. Estrogen is produced by the ovaries of mammals and some fat cells inside mammals. Plants don't have estrogen because they don't have the machinery to produce the molecule estrogen.
Right.
What they have is phytoestrogen, and it's totally different chemically from the mammalian estrogen. It actually turns out to compete with the hormone estrogen in a human's body. So it turns out that research shows that it decreases risk of cancer because perhaps the receptor is sitting there, and instead of estrogen, the phytoestrogens are coming in, fighting for the spot.
So soy is not bad for you.
No, it's quite healthy. It can prevent breast cancer. And of course, what better way to get your protein?
Yeah.
So I personally eat a lot of edamame. I eat a lot of tofu. I get it to my 15-year-old son, and he hasn't developed man boobs yet.
That's amazing.
And he's maintaining a healthy body, healthy life.
Yeah. So, Angie, I read somewhere that over 60% of the population, the global population, is lactose intolerant. And I find that really interesting because it's like if we were meant to have milk, we wouldn't be, lactose intolerant. So, I mean, why do people drink milk?
Yeah, interesting. So lactose is a very large sugar that travels through the gut and gets broken down by an enzyme called lactase. As we age, pretty much after age 2, we lose the capacity and enzymatic reaction to break down lactose into its smaller sugar subunits, because lactose is a very large sugar and it cannot traverse the gut.
Right.
Just like that. Like there's no big tunnels in the gut where you go, come on in, lactose. Yeah. So lactose gets broken down in its smaller subunits to get absorbed through the gut.
Right.
And to go into the body to circulate. So first of all, a lot of people don't know lactose because it doesn't taste sugary, that they don't know they're consuming a ton of sugar, right? But it's a ton of sugar. So, but anyway, lactase, we don't have a lot of enzymatic activity after age 2, the enzyme lactase to break this sugar down. So what happens is this big molecule that cannot traverse the gut is like, now what do? I can't get broken down. I have to be pooped out. So what happens is through osmosis, it drags on a whole bunch of water and drags a whole bunch of water like a river into the colon. And so people get what? We get a violent diarrhea, bloating, and gas.
Wow.
Okay? So lactose, this big molecule, grabs onto the water, and because it cannot get digested, it just basically grabs onto all this water and pushes it into the colon like a riverway. And you get what's called lactose intolerance or diarrhea because you're not digesting it very well. So people get gas, bloating, severe abdominal cramping, and really bad diarrhea.
So this is happening after the age of 2 for most people.
Yes.
because they're not meant to be having it.
Yes. Now, some people in the Northern European areas have a mutation where they can actually break down lactose more readily. However, people in South America, Asia, and other parts of the world, Africa, are completely lactose intolerant after age 2, and they're not able to. They don't have the digestive capacity to break it down. So that's why they get really bad diarrhea and some side effects from eating dairy products. Paradoxically, some people get super constipated. So I see that in children who are forced to drink at least a couple of glasses of milk with their food to get calcium, right? That's the rumor. Only milk has calcium.
Yeah.
So these moms are forcing milk down these poor kids' throats, calcium, and paradoxically causes a really bad case of constipation and obstipation in some cases, where they can't poop for days. They come to the hospital where we have to put our hand in there to drag the poop out.
Oh my God.
Not fun, especially for a kid.
Is it better for children to have when they're young? Is it better, like once they're not breastfeeding anymore, is it better for children to have soy milk or cow's milk?
Yeah, so the soy milk is very comparable to cow's milk in regards to the amino acid profile.
Right.
And it is, I would say that it's definitely healthier because it doesn't have as much saturated fat either. It has calcium, it has amino acids, so the protein content is there, the calcium is there, and it doesn't cause that problem of lactose intolerance. So in my opinion, it's a much better choice for athletes, for kids, for anybody,
Right.
who wants to be healthy.
Right. So final question, Angie. What is the connection between our gut and our overall health and well-being?
Very good question. As you know, the entire body works in concert together. So if something breaks down, it spills problems into the rest of the body. So a healthy gut can promote health. So when you eat a high fiber diet, for example, and keep a healthy gut, what you're producing is healthy molecules, like actually serotonin. 90% of the body's serotonin is made in the gut. It's a very important neurotransmitter for our body's function. So when you're feeding your gut healthy foods and nutrients, you're promoting health-producing molecules, right? Alternatively, if you're eating foods that cause inflammation, you're spilling inflammation in the body. So remember, when you put something in your mouth, it goes through a lot of enzymatic reactions in the gut, right? And there's byproducts that are made as a result of those reactions. These byproducts can traverse the gut and spill into your blood system and circulate head to toe. And so if you were to choose to have a healthier body, you would eat foods that contribute to the production of healthy molecules that can promote health in the body. Alternatively, if you eat foods that cause inflammation, that inflammation can spill in the body and affect you from head to toe. So a healthy gut equals eating a healthy diet, and eating the healthy diet equals promoting health in the rest of the body.
Wow. It's amazing. So, Angie, there's been a lot of videos flying around recently with a bit of a fad that people have around this carnivore diet. And I saw a video that someone shared of this guy, I'm not sure if it was a doctor or something, and he was saying how people on a carnivore diet are super healthy and people on a vegan diet are super healthy. And the only thing that separates the two is that they're not having processed food anymore. But I'm curious about the people who are saying that they're so healthy on a carnivore diet. It's like, well, what's it going to be like 10 years down the line?
Yes.
We're not carnivores.
100%. So absolutely, that statement that they are making, that people are healthy on a carnivore diet, is absolutely incorrect. So at its basis, it's an incorrect advertisement of the diet. A carnivore diet is not healthy because it's devoid of nutrients, macronutrients, such as vitamin C. So if you stayed on a carnivore diet, you will have scurvy, which is a serious disease. Something like yes. And it's devoid of fiber, so your digestive tract is not going to be happy. And it's definitely, it has shown it's not an opinion, this is fact. Multiple hundreds and thousands of randomized controlled trials have shown a healthy diet has to contain fruits and vegetables and fiber. So it isn't healthy. Now, the other point that the carnivore people are making is, oh, look at me, I'm doing well. Right. For how long? So if you take a snapshot of someone, so we're supposed to live like 70 to 90 years, hopefully, right? Some people 100. So if you look at 5 days, if you're doing something for 5 days, it's not going to affect you the same way if you keep doing something for years and years. And so, yeah, maybe you'll get away with it for 5, 6, 7 days, maybe even for a few months, but it will catch up with you.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So it's not recommended, basically, for long-term health. Having a whole foods plant-based diet is better for you.
Absolutely. I'm hoping that these people don't stay on this diet. Even if they were to try it for a few days for fun, I don't even know why anyone would do that. It is going to cause cardiovascular disease, brain disease, gut disease, all kinds of diseases. It's definitely not recommended. 99.9% of educated doctors, health practitioners, dietitians would tell you that a whole foods plant-based diet is healthier, and it's obviously better for the environment, and it's better for as far as if you think about the moral factors, which in my opinion are huge. Definitely a whole food plant-based diet wins.